A pregnant Emily White knelt in the center of the hall, looking at my fiancé, Jason, with teary eyes. Brother Jason, the baby is about to come out. You promised to marry me, she sobbed, looking extremely pitiful. He didn't deny it, but just coldly said, "Why did you come here? Didn't I tell you to stay at home?" The eyes of the 500 guests all turned towards us, and there were whispers everywhere. "Miss Jessica, I'm willing to be your concubine. It's like a modern version of a man having 2 wives. You'll be the main wife, and I'll be the secondary one. Is that okay?" Emily's words completely blew up the scene. I took off my diamond ring as big as a pigeon egg and threw it at Jason's face in front of everyone. "I, Jessica Miller, even if no one wants me, will never marry a scumbag like you." "Jessica, stop right there," Jason roared angrily. "You're nothing without me. Do you think anyone would want a used-up woman like you?" I stopped walking, turned around, and sneered. "Jason, one day, you'll kneel and beg me to forgive you." 3 days later, I married his archenemy, David. At the engagement party, the champagne tower crashed down in front of me. The crystal glasses were broken all over the ground, just like my shattered heart at that moment. The eyes of the 500 guests in the hall all turned towards the door. There stood a pregnant woman, Emily. She was Jason's assistant, and now, it seemed, she was also the mother of his child, Brother Jason. She covered her stomach and looked at my fiancé with teary eyes. "The baby is about to come out. You promised to marry me." The whole place fell silent. I held the champagne glass in my hand, and my knuckles turned white. 3 years of dating and half a year of engagement. Today was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. Jason's face instantly darkened, and he strode towards Emily. I thought he would explain, clarify, and tell everyone it was a misunderstanding. Instead, he just coldly said, "Why did you come here? Didn't I tell you to stay at home?" It wasn't a denial but a complaint about her inappropriate appearance. "Brother Jason, I'm scared." Emily sobbed pitifully. "The doctor said I might have a difficult delivery. What if I die? The baby will have no father." Jason impatiently rubbed the space between his eyebrows. "Stop talking nonsense. Go back and wait for me." The guests below started whispering. "What's going on? Is the young master of the Brown family keeping a mistress? Is Miss Jessica of the Miller family being cuckolded?" My face burned with shame, as if I'd been slapped. But Emily didn't give up. "Brother Jason, you promised me that you'd marry me after the baby is born. Now that Miss Jessica is here, let's just clear things up today." As she said that, she actually knelt down directly. "Miss Jessica, I know I was wrong, but I really love Brother Jason, and this baby is innocent. Please let us be together. I'm willing to be your concubine. A modern-day version where you're the main wife and I'm the secondary one. Is that okay?" The whole place went crazy. I heard people gasping, some cursing, and some secretly filming. Jason's face was extremely ugly. He walked back to my side and whispered, "Jessica, don't listen to her nonsense. I'll handle it." I looked at him as if I was seeing him for the first time. "Handle it?" I sneered. "How? Make her abort the baby? Or make me accept the existence of you and your mother and child trio?" "Jessica, listen to me and explain." "No need to explain." I took off the 8-figure diamond ring on my hand and threw it at his face in front of everyone. "Jason, even if no one wants me, I, Jessica Miller, will never marry a scumbag like you. The engagement is off." I turned around and walked away. The high heels made a crunching sound on the broken glass. Behind me came Jason's angry roar. "Jessica, stop. You're nothing without me. Do you think anyone would want a used-up woman like you?" I stopped, turned back, and looked at him. "Jason, one day, you'll kneel and beg me to forgive you." After saying that, I walked out of this disgusting place without looking back. Behind me came Emily's smug laughter. "Brother Jason, now it's just the 2 of us. When I got back to the bridal chamber I shared with Jason, I found that the electronic lock had been changed. The security guard looked at me awkwardly. Miss Jessica. Mr. Jason said you've moved out. And the new owner here is Miss Emily. What a quick acting Jason. I took out my phone and called him. It rang for a long time before he answered. Jessica, have you thought it through? There was a hint of smugness in his voice. I knew you couldn't live without me. Jason Brown. Bring out my things. What things? Those rags of yours. I threw them out long ago. Oh, and that necklace your mother left you, I gave it to Emily. She said she loved it. My hands trembled. That necklace was my mother's keepsake. The most precious thing I owned in this world. Jason Brown. How dare you? Why wouldn't I dare? He sneered. Jessica Miller. Let me make this clear. After 3 years with me, do you still think you're some innocent virgin? Who else would want you? Apologize now. And I might let this slide. As for Emily, just think of her as a nanny, someone to bear and raise children. Since you can't give me a son, she's stepping in to help. Emily White's sugary voice chimed in from the other end. Jason. Don't be so harsh. Ms. Miller is already pitiful enough. Yes. Truly pitiful. Jason laughed venomously. A woman pushing 30. With nothing but her family's dirty money. Her looks can't compare to yours. Her figure's worse. And in bed I hung up and powered off my phone. Standing outside the apartment building, I suddenly realized I was homeless. The Miller family mansion was too vast and empty after my parents passed. I'd moved in with Jason because living alone felt unbearable. Now I saw it as the stupidest decision of my life. I called a cab to a hotel. En route, my best friend Sophie Lee phoned. Jessica, are you okay? I heard about the engagement party. That Jason is scum. I'm fine. I choked back tears. Just tired. Where are you? I'll come right now. Don't. I need space. Hanging up. I leaned back and closed my eyes. 3 years, what had I ever seen in Jason? His looks, money, or his skills in bed? Now I realized he'd only ever sweet-talked his way through life. The Brown family had taken the lion's share of profits from their partnership with Miller Group all these years. While I'd foolishly called it love, I'd been a sucker. As the cab stopped at the hotel, a familiar figure caught my eye. David Smith, dressed in a black suit. He stood at the entrance, surprise flickering in his eyes when he saw me. Ms. Miller. I nodded. Mr. Smith. He was the Browns' rival, Miller Group's business partner, and New York's most notorious eligible bachelor, a 32-year-old billionaire with looks that could melt glaciers. If not for his icy demeanor, I heard today was. He paused. Difficult. I forced a bitter smile. Difficult doesn't begin to cover it. It was my most embarrassing moment. Need help. I studied him, recalling my father's words before he died. Jessica, if Jason ever proves unworthy, go to David Smith. He's cold, but his integrity is unquestionable. I'd dismissed it as old-fashioned thinking then. Now I knew Dad had been right. Mr. Smith, could we talk? He checked his watch. I have time now. In the hotel cafe, I cut to the chase. I want to partner with you. On what? To destroy the Brown family. Interest flashed in David's eyes. Why? Jason has bled Miller Group dry for years. After today's humiliation, I won't let this stand. What's your plan? I took a deep breath. Marriage. David nearly choked on his coffee. What? A union. I held his gaze. The Smiths need a marriage to solidify your standing. I need an ally against the Browns. We both get what we want. After 1 year, we part amicably. What do you think? He stayed silent for a long moment before speaking slowly. You're certain? Absolutely. Very well. He extended his hand. Pleasure doing business. Future Mrs. Smith. 3 days later, I got married to David. When the news spread, Jason was at the maternity center accompanying Emily. I heard that he smashed everything in the room on the spot. Damn it. Jessica actually dared to marry someone else. Emily fanned the flames on the side. Jason, do you think Miss Jessica had an affair with David earlier? Otherwise, how could she get married so soon? Shut up. Jason glared at her fiercely. It's all your fault. If you hadn't caused a scene at the engagement party, Jessica wouldn't have broken up with me. Emily cried aggrievedly. Jason, I did it for the sake of the child. And you clearly promised me at that time. When did I promise to marry you? I just said I'd take responsibility. Jason grabbed his hair in annoyance. Only now did he realize what he had lost. The Miller Group is the biggest partner of the Brown family, and I hold 1/3 of the Brown family's business. Now that I've married David. What about these businesses? Jason didn't dare to think further. He took out his phone and called me, but the prompt said, "The number you dialed is empty. Please check and dial again." Damn it. He rushed out of the maternity center in a fit of rage and drove straight to the Miller family's old mansion. David and I were discussing cooperation details in the living room when the butler came in to report. Mr. Jason is here. Don't see him, I said without looking up. Tell him I'm not here if he comes again. Let him in, David suddenly said. I'd like to see what this former fiancé wants to say. When Jason rushed into the living room and saw David with his arm around my waist on the sofa, his eyes instantly turned red. Jessica, you really married him. Is there a problem? I leaned in David's arms, deliberately provoking. Didn't Mr. Jason say I was a used woman and no one would want me? Now that someone wants me, you're unhappy. Jason was so angry that he couldn't speak. David looked at him coldly. Mr. Jason, this is my and my wife's home. It's not appropriate for you to barge in without an invitation. Is it? Wife. Jason sneered. David, don't think I don't know what your relationship is. It's just a business marriage. Right. Jessica, do you think you can revenge me by marrying him? Dream on. I stood up, walked up to him, and slapped him hard. Slap. Jason, this slap is for my mom's necklace. Slap. Another slap. This slap is for your 3 years of deception. Jason's face was skewed from the slaps. But he didn't dare to fight back because David was standing behind me. Jessica, you'll regret it. He glared at me fiercely. Do you think a man like David will really treat you sincerely? He just wants to use you to deal with the Brown family. So what? I sneered. At least he won't be like you, hugging other women in front of me and asking me to accept the absurd proposal of having 2 wives. I was. What were you? I interrupted him. That was your true thought. Right. Jason. From now on, we'll go our separate ways. You take the broad road, and I'll take the narrow bridge. Also, starting next month, all cooperation between the Miller Group and the Brown family will be terminated. Jason's face instantly turned as pale as a sheet. Jessica, are you crazy? The penalty for those contracts will be billions. Billions. I laughed. Don't worry, Mr. Jason. I can afford this money. After all, although the Miller family can't compare with the Shin family, we're not short of this amount of money. Jason pointed at me, trembling with anger. David said calmly, Mr. Jason, my wife is tired. It's time for you to leave. After saying that, he directly had the bodyguards throw Jason out. Looking at Jason's embarrassed back, I felt indescribably relieved. How do you feel? David walked up to me. Great. I let out a long breath. Thank you. You're welcome. It's what I should do. He paused. After all, we're husband and wife now. Hearing the word husband and wife, my heart skipped a beat for no reason. This man seemed different from the rumors. In the first month of our marriage, my impression of David completely changed. Rumors outside said that he was cold-blooded, not interested in women, and a workaholic. But after actually getting along with him, I found that he was actually very considerate. He would remember that I don't eat coriander. He would cook midnight snacks for me when I stayed up late working overtime, and prepare brown sugar water for me during my period. Why are you so nice to me? That night, I was curled up on the sofa watching TV when he sat down beside me with a glass of hot milk. The contract says that as a husband, I'm obligated to take care of my wife. Oh, I was a bit disappointed. So it's because of the contract. David glanced at me but didn't say a word. During this month, Jason sent me countless messages. At first, he was angry and accusatory, and later he pleaded desperately. Jessica, I know I was wrong. Will you come back? I've broken up with Emily, and I don't want the baby either. Please, give me another chance. I deleted them without even looking. As for Emily, she called me every now and then to cry. Ms. Miller, Jason doesn't want me anymore. He said it was all my fault that he lost you. Ms. Miller, I'm begging you to forgive Jason. He really loves you. Ms. Miller, I'm willing to leave as long as you and Jason get back together. I found it funny listening to her sobbing. Ms. White, you've got the wrong number. You should talk to Jason to solve the problem. Not me. But Jason said that as long as you forgive him, he'll marry me. I sneered. He's as shameless as ever. Ms. White, I advise you to give up. You can't believe a single word a man says. Especially Jason's. After saying that, I hung up the phone. The next day, Sophie rushed to me. Jessica, something's wrong. What's up? Emily jumped off a building. I was stunned. What? Last night. She jumped from the 3rd floor of the maternity center and is now in the hospital being rescued. Jason is going crazy in the hospital, saying that you drove Emily to death. I frowned. Nonsense. But now it's all over the internet. They're saying that you're bullying others with your power and forcing the mistress to jump off a building. I opened my phone and saw that the top trending topic was rich heiress drives mistress to death. The comment section was foo. LL of scolding. So what if you're rich? It's not easy for a pregnant woman. Jason is a scumbag. But Jessica isn't any better. The feuds in the rich families are really exciting. It's just a pity for the baby. I sneered. Jason really resorted to any means. I'm going to the hospital. Are you crazy? Sophie grabbed me. It's the hot button issue right now. Going to the hospital is like walking into a trap. If I don't go, won't it confirm the charge of driving someone to death? At the hospital, Jason's eyes turned red when he saw me. Jessica, you poisonous woman. Emily is such a kind-hearted girl. How could you do this to her? The onlookers started pointing at me. That's her. The Miller family's heiress. She looks so gentle and quiet. But unexpectedly, she has such a cruel heart. Rich people are all like this. They treat human lives like grass. I ignored the surrounding comments and stared coldly at Jason. Mr. Brown, please make it clear. There's no direct contact between me and Ms. White. Don't you know why she jumped off the building? You, if I remember correctly, you were beside her when she called me yesterday. Right. I pressed on. You know exactly what you said with your own mouth. Jason's face changed. I took out my phone and played the recording. Everyone can listen. This is the call Emily made to me yesterday. The recording clearly captured Emily's cries and Jason's curses in the background. W. Hat are you crying for? It's all your fault that I lost Jessica. I've already said I won't marry you. You insisted on having the baby. Now, Jessica is married to someone else. Are you satisfied? The onlookers fell silent instantly. Jason Brown's face turned as pale as paper. This is an edited recording. Edited. I sneered. Mr. Brown, you can have it authenticated to see if this recording has been edited. After saying that, I turned to the crowd and shouted. Everyone, the truth is clear. Emily White jumped off the building because she was abandoned by Jason Brown. It has nothing to do with me. Please don't be used by those with ulterior motives to spread false information. Additionally, I reserve the right to pursue legal liability against those who spread rumors. As soon as I finished speaking, there was a commotion in the hospital. Miss White is awake. We rushed to the ward. Emily was lying weakly in the bed. Jason rushed over and held her hand. Emily, you're finally awake. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have treated you like that. Emily glanced at him and then at me. Suddenly, she said, Jason, don't blame Jessica. What? I jumped off the building because I couldn't think things through. It has nothing to do with Jessica. Emily said weakly. Jessica is right. A man's words can't be trusted. You said you loved me, but you never thought about marrying me. You said you'd take responsibility, but you turned your back on me after I gave birth to the baby. Emily, Jason, it's over between us. Emily closed her eyes. I'm tired. Jason stood there stunned, unable to say a word for a long time. Watching this scene, I felt a mix of emotions. Although Emily was wrong for being the other woman, in the end, she was just a poor woman hurt by a man. The real villain was Jason. After the incident of Emily's attempted suicide was over, the Brown family's situation got worse and worse. First, the Miller Group terminated all cooperation with them. Then, several other big companies also withdrew their investments one after another. Only then did Jason realize that David Smith was serious. He really wanted to bring down the Brown family. Dad, what should we do? Jason paced anxiously in the Brown family's living room. If this goes on, we'll go bankrupt. Mr. Brown was so angry that his face turned blue. It's all your fault. You could have married the Miller family's daughter, but you had to go after the other woman. Now look, you've attracted David. That vicious wolf. Dad, what's the use of saying these now? We should think of a way to solve the problem. How can we solve it? Mr. Brown snorted. Unless you can win Jessica back, the Brown family is doomed. Jason gritted his teeth. I'll go find her. Do you think she'll see you? Mr. Brown was right. I really didn't want to see Jason, but he found my weakness. One day, I was having a meeting at the Miller Group when the secretary rushed in. Ms. Miller, it's bad. Jason is causing trouble downstairs in the company, and he brought a lot of reporters. I frowned. What does he want to do? He's kneeling on the ground, saying he wants to apologize to you and beg for your forgiveness. There are a lot of people gathered downstairs now, and it's having a bad influence. I sneered. Jason really would do anything. He was trying to force me to give in with public pressure. Sure enough, when I went downstairs, I saw Jason kneeling in front of the company's main entrance, with a loudspeaker in front of him. Jessica, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me and give me another chance. I swear, I won't want anyone else but you in this lifetime. Jessica, our 3-year relationship can't just end like this. The onlookers were whispering to each other. Who is this guy? Seems to be the Brown family's young master. Ms. Miller's ex-boyfriend, kneeling on the ground to beg for forgiveness. It's so romantic. Ms. Miller is so heartless. She doesn't even look at him. The reporters were taking pictures non-stop with their cameras. I knew that if I didn't show up today, tomorrow's news headline would be Rich Heiress is cold-hearted, unmoved by ex-boyfriend's plea on his knees. By then, the public opinion would turn against me, and I'd become the villainess. Jason, you're really insidious. I took a deep breath and walked out of the door. Seeing me appear, a glint of triumph flashed in Jason's eyes, but on the surface, he still looked pained. Jessica, you finally agreed to see me. Jason Brown, you've gone too far. I said coldly to him. This is my company, not a place for you to throw a tantrum. Jessica Miller, I know you still love me. Otherwise you wouldn't have come out to see me. I was stunned by his audacity. Jason, where do you get such confidence? Because I understand you. He stood up, trying to get closer. Jessica, the feelings between us aren't fake. You can't just forget them. Besides, he suddenly raised his voice. Your marriage to David Smith is completely fake. It's just a business alliance with no emotional foundation. The onlookers erupted in murmurs. What? A business marriage? So that's how wealthy families operate. Then Jason still has a chance. I watched his act coldly, plotting how to counterattack. Just then, a black Maserati pulled up at the company entrance. David stepped out and walked straight toward me. He didn't glance at Jason. Just wrapped his arm naturally around my waist. Honey, off work. His voice was gentle, a stark contrast to his usual aloofness. I paused briefly, then nodded cooperatively. Yeah, I was just about to head home. Then let's go. As he spoke, he lightly kissed my forehead. The crowd cheered warmly. So sweet. This is what true love looks like. Mr. Shin treats his wife so well. Jason's face darkened. David, stop pretending. I know your marriage is fake. David finally looked at him, his gaze icy enough to freeze someone solid. Mr. Brown, please stay away from my wife. Your wife? Jason sneered. She loves me in her heart. David, you're just a stand-in. Is that so? David smiled faintly. Then how do you think I'm doing as a stand-in? Mr. Brown. With that, he suddenly scooped me up into a princess carry in full view of everyone. Ah, I gasped, instinctively wrapping my arms around his neck. Honey, let's go home. He carried me to the car, leaving Jason alone in disarray. Inside the car, my heart raced. Thank you, I said, feeling a bit awkward. That situation was embarrassing. It was nothing. David focused on driving. But Jason is right, our marriage is fake. My heart sank inexplicably. Yes, fake. But, he glanced at me suddenly. Who says fake can't turn real? I was speechless, unsure how to respond. David didn't press the topic, and the car fell into a subtle silence. After the commotion of Jason kneeling and begging for mercy, things didn't end. Early the next morning, I got a call from the financial director of the Miller family. Ms. Miller. Disaster. The Brown family hasn't paid the penalty yet. And now there's a new issue. What issue? Someone exposed online that you abused your position to exploit partners. And that you and Mr. Shin colluded to monopolize the market. I frowned. Any evidence? No hard proof. But it's spreading fast. And regulators are already on it. After hanging up, I went straight online. Sure enough, rumors were everywhere about David and me teaming up to ruin the Brown family. The comments were furious. Rich people do whatever they want. Jessica Miller and David Smith colluded. Poor Brown family. Destroyed by this couple. I sneered Jason was just jumping out of the frying pan into the fire. Since being gentle didn't work, it's time to get tough. Mrs. Have you read the news? David Smith walked downstairs, looking calm. Yes, I have. I put down my phone. Sorry, I've dragged you into this. Dragged me into this. He raised his eyebrows. That sounds so distant. Mrs. We're husband and wife. We're supposed to share weal and woe. Although I knew it was just a polite thing to say, my heart still warmed a little. However, David sat down beside me. This matter can't just be left like this. Since Jason Brown dared to play dirty, don't blame me for being merciless. What do you plan to do? He smiled menacingly. Let him see what a real business war is. That afternoon, the Financial Channel broke a bombshell news. The Brown Group was suspected of financial fraud, and there were serious problems in multiple projects. Currently, the relevant departments had launched an investigation. Immediately afterwards, news spread that all of the Brown family's overseas investment projects had failed, resulting in heavy losses. The most crucial thing was that the bank suddenly demanded early repayment from the Brown Group, with a total amount as high as $5 billion. Overnight, The stock price of the Brown Group hit the daily limit down, and most of its market value evaporated. Jason rushed to our house like a madman and was blocked outside by the security guards. Jessica Miller, David Smith, you two adulterers, have the guts to come out. I stood on the balcony on the second floor, looking at him without any emotional fluctuations. Mrs. Do you want to let him in? David walked up to me. No need. I shook my head. Let him make a scene. Anyway, it's not us who'll be embarrassed. Kirsten, you've changed. He suddenly said. What? You used to be very kind before. You wouldn't be so cold-hearted. I was stunned for a moment and then forced a smile. Yes. I've changed. Being betrayed once is enough to make a person grow up. David didn't say a word. He just reached out and held my hand. His hand was very warm, which calmed my heart. Downstairs, Jason was still cursing, but his voice was getting softer and softer. Finally, he was forcibly driven away by the security guards. Mrs. There's something I need to tell you, David suddenly said. What is it? Actually, I've known you earlier than you think. I looked at him in confusion. We were schoolmates in college. But you may not remember me. I tried hard to recall, but I had absolutely no impression. You used to smile a lot back then. You often wore white dresses and were like a little fairy. His voice was very soft, as if he were talking in his sleep. I had a crush on you for 4 years, but I never had the courage to confess. I stared at him in shock. You had a crush on me? Yes. He turned around and looked at me, with a tenderness in his eyes that I'd never seen before. So when you proposed the arranged marriage, I agreed so readily, because this was my only chance to have you. My heart was pounding, and my mind went blank. But why didn't you tell me earlier? Because I was afraid. He smiled self-deprecatingly. Afraid that you'd reject this marriage after knowing the truth. Afraid that you'd think I was taking advantage of the situation. I stared at him blankly, not knowing what to say. Mrs. I don't ask you to love me. I just ask you to give me a chance to take good care of you. After saying that, he let go of my hand and turned to leave. I suddenly grabbed his arm. Wait. He stopped but didn't turn around. David Smith. You idiot. My voice was a bit choked. Who said I didn't remember you? He suddenly turned around, his eyes full of disbelief. The boy sitting at the back row in the library, who always secretly looked at me and often bought me coffee. I smiled through my tears. Did you think I really didn't notice? Then why? Because I was young back then. I punched him gently. I thought studying was the most important thing, and dating was just a waste of time. By the time I figured it out, you had already gone abroad. David Smith stared at me blankly, and it took him a while to find his voice. So you also. I like you too, I said, blushing. I've liked you since college. The next second, he hugged me tightly in his arms. Wife. No. Jessica. His voice trembled. I've waited 10 years for this day. Me too. With a real emotional foundation. Our married life became sweet. David no longer kept a stern face pretending to be cold but would act cute and be playful in front of me. Honey, how was my performance today? Honey, I want to eat the food you cook. Honey, when are we going to have a child? The last question made my heart race and my face flush, but it was sweet inside. However, the sweet days didn't last long. Jason Brown caused trouble again. This time he directly kidnapped me. That day I went to a charity auction, and when I came out, I was forcibly dragged into a car by several people. When I woke up, I found myself tied up in an abandoned warehouse. Jason Brown sat opposite me, his eyes crazy. Jessica, you're finally awake. Jason, are you crazy? I struggled to break free from the ropes. Kidnapping is a serious crime. Serious crime. He laughed wildly. I have nothing left now. What do I care about a serious crime? It's all your fault. He suddenly stood up and shouted hysterically, "Jessica Miller. David Smith. You two ruined everything for me. You brought it upon yourself. Who can you blame?" I looked at him coldly. "If you had married me honestly back then, would you be where you are today?" "What's the use of saying that now?" Jason glared at me fiercely. "Jessica, if I can't have you, no one else can." With that, he actually pulled out a knife from his pocket. "What do you want to do?" My heart tightened. "Die together." His smile was terrifying. "Well, die together. So David will never get you." "Jason, calm down." I tried to stay calm. "What good will killing me do you?" "No good. But it makes me happy." He raised the knife and was about to stab me. I closed my eyes waiting for death. Just then, the warehouse door was kicked open. "Stop." David rushed in, followed by a group of police officers. Seeing this, Jason became even crazier. "David, you came just in time. Today I'll let you watch your wife die in front of you." After saying that, he really stabbed at me. At the critical moment, David lunged over and used his body to shield me. Thud. The knife pierced his shoulder, and blood instantly stained his clothes. "David!" I screamed. The police immediately subdued Jason, and an ambulance arrived quickly. In the hospital, I sat outside the operating room waiting, tears streaming uncontrollably. Mr. Smith will be fine." The secretary comforted me. "It's just a shoulder injury. No life-threatening danger. It's all my fault." I choked out. "If it weren't for me, he wouldn't have gotten hurt." "Mrs. Don't say that. Mr. Smith cares most about your safety." 3 hours later, the surgery was over. The doctor told me David was out of danger, but the shoulder wound was deep and he needed to rest for a while. Looking at David lying pale in the hospital bed, my heart ached terribly. "I'm sorry." I held his hand. "It's all because of me that you got hurt." He smiled weakly. "Silly. We're husband and wife. It's my duty to protect you." "But." "No buts." He laboriously raised his other hand and wiped away my tears. "Jessica, promise me you won't cry anymore." I nodded. "I'm not crying anymore. Anne." His voice softer. "I love you." Hearing these 3 words, my tears fell again. "I love you too." Jason Brown was sentenced to 10 years in prison for kidnapping and intentional injury. In court, he looked haggard. No longer the spirited man he once was. "Jessica Miller, I won't let you off." He cursed as he was dragged away by the bailiffs. "I'll be waiting for you in prison, waiting to see your downfall." I watched indifferently as he was taken away, my heart calm. This man finally got the retribution he deserved. The Brown family went completely bankrupt, and Mr. Brown had a heart attack from the shock of his son's situation and was hospitalized. As for Emily White, it's said that she took her child back to her hometown and disappeared from then on. Everything was over. David Smith's injuries healed well, and the cast was removed after a month. "Honey, my injury is healed. Shouldn't I get a reward?" he said with a mischievous smile. Looking at me. "What reward?" I asked knowingly. "Like a kiss." Blushing, I stood on tiptoe and gave him a light peck on the lips. "Too light," he complained. "I want a real kiss." With that, he lowered his head and kissed me. This kiss was gentle and deep, melting my heart. "Honey, let's have a baby," he said against my forehead. Now.